straight losses was not the way Nick Maletti envisioned his expansion franchise would begin play in 1970. He had hired Bill Fitch from the University of Minnesota to be Cleveland's first coach. But the Cadavers, as they soon became known, played down to form and finished 15-67 their first season.
As good a salesman as Nick is, if I'd have known what I found out the first 15 games, I might not have ever taken a call, let alone gone, because I said at the time, war is hell, but expansion's worse.
I don't want to see that kind of... As a player, that was a while ago, okay? I thought it was the end of the world.
People come in and out all the time. You would go to practice on a Monday, and you see 12 guys, and you introduce yourselves, and on Tuesday there's 4 extra guys there. So there's guys in and out all the time.
But in 1975, with young stars like Austin Carr, Bingo Smith, Campy Russell, and Jim Jones in place, Cleveland acquired veteran center Nate Thurmond, and a team that had been soft in the middle suddenly became formidable.
When Nate came, that really changed everything, because the big fella could score, he could rebound, plus he was a physical presence that people feared.
Thurman's presence led to the miracle of Richfield in 1976, when the upstart Cavaliers upset the defending Eastern Conference champion Washington Bullets in the conference semifinals.
It's over, Wes!
Richfield Coliseum shook before, during, and after Game 7.
When you're sitting in the locker room, 20,000 plus strong, and the stomp in their feet, the sound is deafening. It was deeper than any college game I'd ever played in at Marquette.
It was probably the best team in basketball in '76.
But it didn't last. The team gradually was broken up. And in 1982, Maletti sold the team to a Cleveland advertising mogul named Ted Stepien, who made history. The wrong kind.
It was 3 dismal years where Ted, whether he will ever realize it or not, and the chances are he won't, and if he does, he'll never admit it, worked very, very hard to destroy the franchise.
Don't worry about the media, don't worry about the fans, just play it low and lose as least amount as possible. Wait for your Sampson or Worthy or you know, Elijah one or somebody to come out, right, and make your team. So right. I wish I would have been a little more patient, but I wasn't.
He was getting advice from a lot of different directions, having taken over the franchise. Ultimately, he sold the franchise to the Gunn brothers, and I think he was happy with moving on with it.
The Cavs went through coaches and players like water. Chuck Daly's first head coaching job there lasted exactly 93 days. Cleveland traded so many #1 draft picks, the league instituted what was known as the Stepien rule to prevent the trading of consecutive #1s in the future. And in the 1981-82 season, the Cavs had 23 different players on their roster.
It was not like starting with an expansion franchise, more like starting even from behind the starting gate in a sense, or from below ground rather than at the ground level. It had been pretty badly torn up.
The Gunn brothers gave young George Karl his first head coaching job. That didn't work either.
It fell apart quickly. My ego, I think, was a little bit out of control at that time.
For a couple of seasons, all the Cavs had was the showmanship of World B. Free to attract fans.
They said, well, you know we only won 15 games last year? I said, yes. I said, well, let me tell you something. I win 15 games for you myself.
In June of '86, the Gunns brought Wayne Embry in from Milwaukee to be general manager. He, in turn, hired Lenny Wilkens as head coach. They were the first 2 African-Americans in their respective positions on one team at the same time. Embry drafted Brad Doherty, Mark Price, and Ron Harper, and traded for Larry Nance and Mike Sanders. And Wilkens molded that talent into an Eastern Conference powerhouse. But then...
I was supposed to keep Michael from getting the ball. He made a great move, got the ball.
When I ran by him, made him change his shot but a little bit, and he still got it off. And I can still see it as clear as day, the red light going off and the ball leaving his hand and the ball going through the basket.
Injuries and Jordan ultimately doomed what Magic Johnson had dubbed the team of the 90s. Wilkens left for Atlanta in 1993. Rebuilding, with Mike Fratello now aboard, started again.
We realize that right now we can't compete for a championship as the team is per se, but it also is a very important year for us.
Cleveland's basketball journey has come full circle. From the horrific old Cleveland Arena to the suburban Richfield Coliseum to this new Gunn Arena back downtown. part of the city's economic revitalization. Jacobs Field is across the street and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame just down the block. Now it's the team's task to add some championship banners to the retired jerseys that hang here. Reporting from Cleveland, I'm David Aldridge, ESPN.